This is from a series of interviews that I shot in January of 2021 for the Mind, Body, Soul documentary project, where we will be hiking the Continental Divide Trail and exploring the effects that nature has on our well-being. To find out more about the project, visit mindbodysoulfilm.com.
My name is Amy Robin. I am 32 years old and I am a product support technician at DynoJet Research Incorporated. Come April 11th, we as in Alex and I, are going to take on the Continental Divide Trail. It will be roughly 3,100 miles, estimated to be around 6 months. I'm torn about leaving my job because I'm quitting my life basically, and I'm leaving a good paying job. Process of putting my life on hold. I wouldn't say I'm putting my life on hold. I would say that I'm quitting my life. I think I'm going to come back a completely different person. I also think that I'm quitting my job. I'm leaving my home. Everything I come back to is not going to be the same. So I am quitting my life. And it's a very scary process. Everything that I have right now, I worked for very hard. I have had no handouts in life. And I am putting a huge leap of faith into this, and that's very scary. So there's been a lot of anxiety. There's been a lot of panic attacks. There's been a lot of faith and trust in that this process is going to work.
How did moving to Montana when you were a kid change the course of your life?
When I first moved to Montana, I didn't really like Montana. To be honest, I thoroughly disenjoyed moving here. I moved from a city where there's parks and there's lots of people and there's just always something going on. And I moved to Montana and it felt like there was nothing. There wasn't that many people. There just wasn't that many things to go and do. And then I learned that most of these people around here go outside. They go camping, they go hiking, they go fishing, they go and just sit outside, go to the park and enjoy the beauty of Montana. And I've learned to enjoy that. And I learned that I really liked it and I fell in love with it, and I don't think I would ever leave. I met some friends where they were even more into the outdoors, and that brought me along into hunting. Honestly, I was very against hunting when I moved here. I'm a very in tune to animals, and I really enjoy animals. And I had the view of hunters as being evil people. And I just didn't agree with their way of life. But I learned more so that I lived here, I learned more that hunting helps the population of the animals here. It helps that they don't get overpopulated and they don't starve to death and stuff like that, as well as it is more healthy to eat. Also, these animals aren't caged up every day. They get to live their best life. And I like meat and I'm not going to stop eating meat. So that's, to me, sounds like the better alternative than going and buying meat from the store.
How did you make the jump into trying a thru-hike?
When I first heard about thru-hiking, I didn't know what thru-hiking was. I know what hiking is, and I know what long-distance hiking is, but I didn't really know what thru-hiking was, or at least I didn't know that there was a term for that. I began to understand what thru hiking was when I met Alex, my boyfriend. He taught me that it can be a good time of solitude where you can process your thoughts without distractions. It appealed to me for sure. It was scary. It's a scary thought, that's for sure, but I've always been one with nature, I guess you could say, but I've always been drawn to nature, but it definitely was a scary thought, and it was something that I felt like I always wanted to do, even before I met Alex. This is Minnow, and she is my partner in crime. She's my Batman, and I'm her Robin. And there goes Minnow. It's super important that Minnow comes on this hike. That dog has probably saved my life in more ways and times than I can count. We are just inseparable. We go everywhere and do everything together. And she's my rock.
Are you prepared for this?
Sit. Sit. So this is my first thru hike, and I guess I'm prepared. I would like to say that I'm not, because it is my first thru hike and I don't really know what to expect. I have theories and I have thoughts, but I've never physically done it, so I don't really know. What made me decide to do this hike? I want to heal. I don't want to be stuck in my thought patterns, and I feel like when I get out there, I will be able to work through those and work through the toxic patterns. They say it takes 30 days to learn a new habit, and I'm going to be out there times 5 at least. So I get a lot of practice. I feel like I wouldn't be able to work through those problems more so in this everyday life, because we have our jobs, we have just our community and all our things that we have to do, all our responsibilities in everyday life, and you're just constantly thinking of what you have to do next. You're constantly thinking of what you didn't finish. You're constantly thinking of a million thoughts going on, and you just can't focus. And this thru hike will allow me to focus. I'm very in tune to energy. I always have been. I've had people ask me if I really believe that if you put good energy into something that it would come true, and I fully believe that. It has to be the right energy, obviously, but getting away from all the vibrations of the city. We don't really live in a city, but it's a city. And there is just man-made vibrations everywhere, and I truly believe that throws off your vibration. And just getting out into nature and natural vibrations can help reset that. I've also just lived a very harsh life, and I have a lot of baggage to work through. I most often think that I don't have a lot of baggage, to be honest. I think that most things that I've gone through are normal for most people. I've had parents fighting and divorcing when I was very young, around 3-ish, 4-ish. I've had physically abusive situations in my life. I've had sexual abusive situations in my life. I've had mental abusive situations in my life. And it's not just one situation, it's been multiples of all of that. And that, I guess, has affected me in my everyday grown-up life. I used to not be able to go outside. I used to not be able to do a lot of things. I wasn't really in touch with humanity. I didn't have a lot of trust in humans, but I had my dog, and she had gotten cancer, and she passed away, and that was probably one of the hardest things I had dealt with since then. She was my rock. She was my best friend. She protected me, and I didn't have too many people that would. She was all of that for me, and she passed away. And then my dad got sick as well. My father passed away from Alzheimer's. And it went from him being able to be a normal human to not knowing who I was, to not being able to do anything, and passing away as well. And that was probably the second hardest thing I had to deal with. That should be the first, but it's not. He fought in the Vietnam War, and I'm sure, although he never really talked about it, he went through a lot, and that I couldn't imagine anybody not going through a lot. Fighting in the Vietnam War, he got shot in the leg, and he was honorably discharged, and he just was unwilling to talk about it. I love my father a lot, and I'm sure he loved me a lot, although it was never very expressed. We did not get along very well, especially living together. We were both very high-strung people, and my father had a lot of his own baggage he had to deal with that he never dealt with, and he had his own toxic traits of anger and yelling, which I learned how to do, and we both had a lot of anger, and we both did a lot of yelling, and we both did a lot of headbutting. My coping mechanism with dealing with emotions was eating, was separating myself from everybody and everything. Sometimes I did try to use drugs and alcohol as an escape, and I think that was at one of my lowest points, and I wasn't able to feel any side effects from any drugs or alcohol. I was numb. All I could feel was anger or sadness. I was probably learning to be numb from when I was about 21 to 26 or 27. My deepest, numbest stages of where I just really couldn't feel anything at all anymore was probably when I was about 25 to 27. But I've overcome a lot of those things, and this hike is going to help me overcome a lot more. I still don't think that I've been through that much. I have a hard time feeling sorry for myself, I guess, too. I try really hard not to play the victim role. It's bad to believe that you're a victim because you get trapped in that mindset and you just act like you're a victim, and you don't take the healthy, necessary steps to overcome those things and to become healthy again.
How will this hike help you heal?
Sometimes being alone with my thoughts is a very scary place. But those are at certain times and certain toxic patterns that I have. But overall, it does not scare me to be alone with my thoughts. Other than like having time to think about it and process, actually take the time to process those things and willing to accept that I did go through those things, I guess. I turn off my emotions when I start to feel bad, or I start to feel basically any connection to those things. And I go into this numb world, and I live in that numb world. And I think walking physically, having something physical to do and a goal in mind will keep you going while still having the ability to think about those things, and you have nothing else other than to do is think. So I think that will be some steps to heal from those. I don't really know if they're a result of my childhood, but some of my toxic patterns is just my way of thinking. I guess that does tie in a lot to my relationship with some of my family members growing up. I didn't have much of a support system. I got talked down to a lot. Helps those toxic patterns of thinking of how I'm not good enough at something, or I'm not strong enough to do something. Helps those thought patterns grow. I am very disconnected from the human race, I guess, if you want to say it that way. I don't have a lot of trust in humans. I would say I probably don't have much trust at all in humans. I don't involve myself with a lot of people.
Have you been able to find support in your life?
I'd probably say the friends that I do have, even though I don't hang out with them a lot, are very close friends. So those friends, a handful, have all been very excited for me. They have all been very supportive, which is a very new experience for me. My coworkers have all been very supportive as well, which has been kind of not expected. I expected my boss to be very upset when I first told him, and he was super supportive from the very second I told him, and that was a huge relief. I don't really have a relationship with my family. The most relationship I have with any of my family members would probably be my mom, and we probably talk on the phone maybe 3 times a year tops. But I did talk to my mom, and she was very concerned. And with that concern is being non-supportive. But in the end, she is supportive as long as I keep in touch with her.
What's it going to be like hiking with your boyfriend?
Preparing for the hike with Alex has been difficult, to say the least. It's getting better. This hike was honestly my idea. I threw it out to Alex that we should do a thru hike together, and he can film some sort of movie on mental health, because I have a lot of mental health issues. It just kind of felt more that it wasn't my idea and I wasn't involved. And that upset me a lot, and it frustrated me a lot. And I kept getting told to wait, my time's coming. And it just never came. And I was just getting really frustrated because I watched Alex get overwhelmed with activities and overwhelmed with things that he had to do, and I was just sitting there doing nothing. And I was just really, really trying to help, but I just didn't know how. And I think he didn't know how to ask for help. The pros and cons of hiking with Alex Meyer. He is experienced, so that's a pro. He is well knowledged in the nature aspect, so That's a pro. He is a companion. We will be able to work as a team if we can figure that out. I have faith we will. It will take a few steps to get there, but I think we will. So that's a pro. A con would probably just be that we will have conflicts. And I have a feeling some of those conflicts will be pretty big. We will have conflicts about pace. That's something that's very true and dear to Alex. And this trip, although it is something that I want to accomplish, it is not my goal to finish. My goal is to heal, and his goal is more to finish and film. So there will be conflict there. I feel like even though we've been together for a year, we know each other really well and understand each other. And if we can put our emotions at the time aside, we can work through anything. I guess I'm really scared for Alex to see me in my deepest moments. It's going to take a very strong person to watch me go through that. But I am like 95 to 99% confident that we will be able to work through it and get through it. I think we're both very understanding, and we're both very open and both very willing. And I think we have some work to do with our communication, but all those other aspects, I think, are really strong in our relationship. My biggest fears about the hike is disappointing Alex. That we won't make it through. That I will not have the capabilities of doing it mentally or physically. What am I hoping to find? I'm hoping to find my purpose in life.
And don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on social media to stay up to date with this project.